Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you are tracking the future of B2B services, you know the AI agency world is, well, moving at warp speed. Today, we are tearing into the financial and technical blueprint for 2025. We're talking business models, the radical shifts in pricing, and that crucial tech stack you need to build truly scalable AI products.
That's right. Our mission today is really to distill the core material into a clear, actionable plan. We're focusing on how the most successful AI businesses are actually operating. We're looking for those nuggets on speed, scalability, and how they manage to deliver and, capture such massive value for their clients.
Okay, and the first non-negotiable lesson from the data seems to be this. The cozy days of flat monthly retainers and, easy hourly rates, they're fundamentally over in AI services. That traditional model, it actually punishes efficiency when automation is the whole point.
Right. Exactly. The market has shifted dramatically. AI agency pricing, it's now shaped by hybrid models, performance-based, usage-driven models. And this is a direct response to the reality that you're always managing two key inputs: the human strategic thinking and the automated platform costs. Those token fees, API consumption charges, they change constantly.
Okay, let's unpack that new economic reality right away. What are the dominant new pricing models that AI agencies are using, and how do they really differ from that traditional digital agency structure we all used to know?
Well, we can probably narrow it down to 5 common approaches, although honestly, only maybe 3 are truly designed to thrive in this hyper-efficient AI landscape. First, you've got fixed project pricing. It's still viable, sure, but really only for well-defined scopes.
Like what specifically?
Think a single chatbot implementation, maybe an initial custom deployment. These can still command pretty high fees, anywhere from $50,000 up to maybe $500,000, sometimes more for really complex projects. They offer cost clarity for the client, which is good, but that constant shadow of scope creep that's always there.
Right.
Second, the straight monthly retainer. It still exists, definitely. It works for predictable recurring needs like model maintenance, ongoing optimization, or maybe monthly content generation using AI tools. It provides that stable floor for revenue, which agencies like.
But, okay, if we're talking about maximizing value and scaling, which is what AI is supposed to be all about, we have to talk about the riskier models, right? The ones with potentially more reward.
Absolutely. So the third model is performance-based pricing. Now, this one aligns your fee directly with a measurable outcome. Think lead volume, specific SEO traffic goals, maybe conversion lift. When this works, it's huge because the agency is truly compensated based on the client's actual success.
I definitely see the appeal there, but doesn't performance-based pricing introduce, like, massive overhead? You need complex attribution, right? And what if the client's internal marketing team messes up the final conversion funnel?
Yep.
Doesn't the agency take the loss then? What's the data say about that burden?
That's the critical tension. Exactly. It requires extreme clarity upfront, really robust tracking, which is why, the successful application of this model, it's often confined to specific, highly measurable functions.
Right.
Like a pure lead generation where the handover is clear, or maybe specific automated customer service metrics where you control the interaction. If the agency can't control that entire pipeline, they usually pivot. They move to the fifth model, the hybrid.
The hybrid, the new king of the hill, you called it, combining predictability with usage.
Precisely. The hybrid model, it combines a base fee, that reliable retainer we talked about, with either usage-based metering or some kind of performance incentive. For example, some firms like Globant with their AI pods, they pair a subscription fee with token-metered access. It's quite elegant, actually. It smooths out the peaks and valleys of those operational costs while still guaranteeing core income.
And crucially, the data suggests you should be operating at a higher economic tier here, right? You're not competing on price alone.
You absolutely must. AI agencies, they generally command, let's say, a 20 to 50% higher rate than traditional manual counterparts. And this isn't just because of the automation itself. It's really due to the technical complexity, the speed of deployment you can offer, and just the sheer scale of the impact you can deliver.
Okay, let's give the listeners some concrete numbers then. What are they looking at, roughly, for specific services in 2025?
Right. So for services targeting specialized automation, think AI SEO solutions, they average around $3,200 per month. But specialized retainers, they can easily hit $20,000 or more if you're involving complex automation pipelines. Initial AI automation setups, that build-out phase, typically range from maybe $2,500 up to $15,000 or even more. And then that's usually followed by maintenance retainers, say $500 to $5,000 plus monthly. And if you're doing pure strategic AI consulting, expect hourly rates anywhere from $100 up to $450 per hour, or minimum monthly retainers starting around $5,000, maybe going up to $25,000.
Wow, okay. Those are definitely premium price points. And that brings us directly to strategy, doesn't it? You simply cannot charge, say, $15,000 for a setup if you don't offer deeply specialized value. And the crucial insight here seems to be that specialization, it's not optional anymore. The data was suggesting only about, 26% of companies can successfully deploy these high-value AI agents themselves? That leaves a massive gap the generalists just can't fill.
That gap is the opportunity, absolutely, but it requires focus. Laser focus. The strategic reasons to niche down, either by industry or by function, they're ironclad. First, marketing resonance. Think about it. If you try to sell AI solutions to everyone, you end up selling to no one, really. But if you focus specifically on, say, building AI agents that handle compliance auditing just for mid-market banks, your message lands instantly. That buyer knows you speak their highly specific regulatory language.
Okay, so it accelerates the sales cycle because you're skipping the part where you have to explain the basic problem.
Exactly. Second, it lets you build superior niche features. That narrow focus means you can invest in building custom integrations specific to that vertical, maybe hooking into core banking software or specialized compliance APIs. Things a generalist agency would never bother with. Your product just gets better, more defensible.
Makes sense. And the third reason is all about using success to build credibility, right?
Yeah.
Which has to be the cornerstone of premium pricing, branding, and awareness.
Momentum is built on familiarity. It's just how it works. If you successfully automate key functions for, say, American Express and Discover, then selling your product to MasterCard isn't really a cold call anymore, is it? It feels like a natural progression. You gain this enormous trust advantage because you've proven you understand the nuances, the risks, the competition, all within that single vertical.
Okay, so if the listener is thinking about starting up or maybe pivoting their existing agency, how do they actually select that perfect defensible niche? The research laid out 4 pretty smart paths.
Yeah, 4 good starting points. The first one is simple. Experience. Just look inward. Analyze your past clients, even the prospects that paid the most or seemed to have the most urgent need. Which roles or industries did you actually solve crucial problems for? Forget what you wanted to sell for a second. Focus on what the market already valued enough to pay you for. Second, examine market needs. Where are those endemic industry pains? For banks, like we said, it's compliance and fraud. For healthcare, maybe it's super complex billing systems. Focus on the major regulatory shifts or technological trends that are genuinely shaking up a sector.
I like that approach, focusing on the specific pain points that are keeping executives up at night.
Precisely. Third, leverage your internal capabilities. What existing skill sets, industry experience, professional contacts does your team already have? Starting where you have a natural network and deep existing knowledge, well, it dramatically lowers the barrier to entry. And finally, number 4, you have to assess viable solutions. Look, don't promise the client some magic bullet AI that just can't be delivered reliably yet. Look for realistic precedents for AI application. Make sure you can deliver a unique value proposition based on, proven results, not just hype.
Right. Okay, so now that we've established the premium strategy and the need to niche down, let's get into the engine room, the tech. If you are charging those top-tier rates, your foundation, that has to be rock solid. What is the optimal tech stack for building real, highly scalable B2B AI agents in 2025? And yeah, this goes way beyond just chaining together some off-the-shelf no-code tools.
Definitely. The modern scalable B2B stack, it's really obsessed with efficiency and, importantly, consolidation. So for the back end, the sort of brain of the agent, Python is still the overwhelming preference. I mean, it was basically built for machine learning and natural language processing. Then you use frameworks like Fast API or maybe Flask to turn that Python agent into an API endpoint. That allows external applications, other software, to call your AI service instantly.
Got it. Now, the data layer, that's where the complexity used to just spiral out of control, right?
Yeah.
How do you handle that elegantly today?
Yeah, this is a key innovation, choosing the right database. PostgreSQL is our pick here, and specifically using the PG vector extension. Now, this is a huge efficiency gain. Why? Because it allows you to manage both your structured user data, the normal relational tables, and your AI components, like the vector stores you need for RAG, all in one single place.
Wait, hold on. Let's define that for the listener quickly. What exactly is Aragi, and why is PG vector so important for it?
Good question. RA stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. In simple terms, it's the mechanism that lets an AI model like GPT-4 pull in and reference specific, up-to-date, maybe internal company documents before it generates an answer. It dramatically improves accuracy and, crucially, prevents the model from relying only on its general training data, which, as we know, often leads to inaccurate information or those hallucinations.
Okay, so PG Vector lets you store and, more importantly, quickly search all that reference material right alongside your core business data. What's the real business value of consolidating like that?
It solves a massive operational pain point, maintenance and cost. Think about it. If you consolidate your vector data and your relational data into just PostgreSQL, you completely eliminate the need to pay for, maintain, and integrate two separate database systems. Like, you avoid having Pinecone or Quadrant running alongside your main relational database. That's simplification. It reduces infrastructure risk, and it absolutely slashes recurring costs. It's a big deal.
That is a phenomenal efficiency tip.
Yeah.
Really practical. Okay, now what about the interface? The thing the user actually interacts with.
Right, the front-end interface. Next.js is pretty much the standard now. It's perfect for building dashboards, sophisticated web platforms, mainly because it offers server-side rendering that improves performance and SEO. And importantly, it deploys seamlessly using services like Vercel, often with very generous free tiers to start.
Okay. And finally, we need portability and, of course, getting paid.
Yeah, for portability, you absolutely use Docker. Docker containers, they wrap up your application and all its dependencies. This allows you to move your AI agent easily between pretty much any hosting service, AWS, Lambda, Render, Azure, whatever, without rewriting your code. Huge flexibility. And for payments, Stripe is basically the industry default. Its API is robust, makes integrating recurring billing, subscription management, invoicing, all that stuff pretty straightforward and definitely scalable.
And a really crucial point before we move on, budgeting. For an AI agency, where does the money go first? It's different, right?
Very different from a traditional agency where payroll usually dominates early on. Your biggest initial expense is almost certainly the tech stack itself. You absolutely must budget for high model access fees. Those GPT-4 turbo tokens add up fast platform infrastructure, maybe GPU compute costs depending on what you're doing, and the necessary licensing for specialized third-party AI tools. These costs hit you before you even make your first hire.
Okay, that's a critical warning. Now let's talk about the ultimate barrier for many. Securing that very first client when you have no portfolio, no case studies. How do you possibly convince a client to invest, say, $15,000 or more when you have zero social proof? The data suggests a really powerful strategy here, the irresistible offer.
Yeah, this is all about de-risking it for the client. The irresistible offer strategy, it basically involves waiving a typical setup fee, which, as we said, might be $2,000, $5,000, whatever, in exchange for two key things. First, the right to charge the monthly retainer only after the agent is live and actually generating value. And second, a killer testimonial from them if they like the product.
Ah, so you're essentially buying your first case study with discounted or maybe even free initial labor.
Exactly right. The client only pays for proven success and the ongoing service, not the initial risk of the build. This kind of volume-focused approach, it gets you off that dependence on just getting lucky with your first client. It immediately builds experience, generates crucial feedback to refine your product, and psychologically, it makes saying no feel kind of foolish for the client because their downside risk is almost zero.
Okay, once they bite on that offer, you still need to manage expectations and scope, right? That's where the AI design sprint comes in. You mentioned this is a critical, small, maybe 2-day engagement designed to build trust before they commit to that larger long-term investment.
The design sprint, I'd say it's almost a mandatory risk mitigation step, especially for complex projects. It's short, it's super focused, and it gives the client immediate, tangible output without requiring, a $50,000 commitment up front.
Okay, walk us through those 2 days. What does the client actually walk away with at the end?
Right. Day one is all about problem identification and ideation. You get the key stakeholders in a room. You define the exact business goal, not just vague stuff like automate customer service, but something measurable like reduce credit card fraud call volume by 15%. You map out the challenge, identify what crucial data you absolutely need access to, and, really importantly, you ideate maybe 3 distinct possible AI solutions with your machine learning experts present. Then day 2 pivots. It's about feasibility, data discovery, and planning. You audit the existing data the client actually has, you start designing the potential model architecture, you discuss ethical considerations like bias and privacy, and you prepare a concrete roadmap, the primary outcome for the client. They get a feasibility assessment, they get a selected AI solution that's been validated by your experts, and they get a detailed plan for a proof of concept or POC.
The genius of that design sprint seems to be that for a relatively small fee, or maybe even as part of that irresistible offer, the client gets clarity and confidence. It minimizes their risk of failure and makes the eventual commitment to a large development contract feel like a much more logical, much safer next step.
Exactly. It fundamentally shifts the engagement. It goes from being a speculative, risky project to becoming a validated, de-risked roadmap. Honestly, it's probably the highest leverage activity you can perform early on to secure that long-term revenue. So look, if you take two core lessons away from this entire deep dive today, make it these. First, your pricing model simply must evolve to reflect measurable outcomes. Think usage and performance if you want to survive the extreme efficiency gains AI brings. Old models just won't cut it. Second, real sustainable success. It's only going to be built upon a deep, highly defensible niche, and that niche needs to be supported by truly scalable technology.